So I want to talk to you a little bit about the Feng Shui program. And the simplest way to think about Feng Shui is as an energy detective. And what we are doing when we do Feng Shui is we're going and meeting with clients and finding out what is it that's out of balance in your life, what's not working. And then we go through the layers to see where is that reflected in the home. And so everything about us is mirrored in our homes or our businesses. And in Feng Shui, we really learn all of those layers, starting with the simplest to the more complex. So some examples might be, I think of a client that I went to visit with who had been depressed for years. And when I went into his home, you know, right away there was that feeling of depression. So part of Feng Shui is just tuning in to the spirit or the energy of the home. And some of it's very practical. The home didn't have many lights on. Most of the items in the home were quite low down. And as a result of that, he was often looking down as opposed to up. It was interesting that when I asked him if there was anything that he could show me that he really loved in his home, that was really special to him, had a heart connection, he had to really think about it, and then he said, no, like what I just have because it's useful, or somebody gave this to me. And so with that appointment, it was quite a short appointment, I gave him one job, and that was to find something he loved. And when he found it, to place it where he would see it often. So think about where it was in his home that he spent a lot of time, and to place that object that he loved there. And that was a beginning, the first step in shifting and changing his life. And so that's, you know, Feng Shui can be extremely simple, and it can be extremely complex. In the program, as we get further along, there are a lot of formulas, compass formulas that are used in order to decipher different qualities of energy in the home. But it, you know, it starts with the most simple. And when you're a student, you always start with yourself. Everybody wants to look at everyone else's home, but not look at their own, right? It's sort of like being a psychologist. When you first begin to learn, you're quite dangerous. And so almost every class I'll be saying, okay, what are you doing? You're analyzing somebody else's space here. And did you say something to that person? Because when we don't know too much, we can cause more harm by saying something, especially if it was not invited, if they didn't ask. And even for myself, one of the golden rules of Feng Shui is never ever go into a home and offer suggestions unless you have been asked to offer suggestions, because it's just leaving a big load of negative energy. You have to have the impetus to want to make the change. And so that comes to kind of the meaning of Feng Shui. Feng Shui means wind over water. And wind is invisible, as we know in nature, and water we can see. And so the water is the actual form, how we might move around chairs, or we might, you know, put a painting here. But the wind is just as important. That's the intention behind what it is that we do. And so with Feng Shui, oftentimes there's a new awareness. There's always an education that's happening. So if someone's single and everyone's heard about this aspect of Feng Shui, you don't want all of those, you know, lonely person walking in the evening on the beach kinds of pictures in your home. And that's for a lot of reasons, right? Because first of all, solitary, and you want to be in partnership. Like attracts like. So if we're always looking at that picture, then we're likely to attract that. Evening pictures are about endings. And so right away there's an energy of some depressiveness there when there's an evening picture in the home. So, just a few tips maybe to think about that might be enticing to think about in your own home is when you walk in your door next time, close your eyes before you go in and pretend that this isn't your home, that you've never been there before. And try to look at your home with the eyes of a stranger and see what it is that you notice, what it feels like in your home. We've all had that experience when we've gone to buy a home, where oftentimes we know almost immediately when walking into a home whether it's right for us or not. We can feel the energy of it. But we get so used to our own space that we actually start to kind of become a little bit blind to the obstacles that we've created in our homes. And so that's why it's good if you can walk in, and maybe even with a friend, to look and see, well, what does this home feel like to you? What do you notice in this home? The entrance is really, really super important in a home. You can do lots of changes all over your home, but if the energy can't get in the door, then it doesn't matter that much what you've done in the rest of a home. And so, when you open your door, really pay attention to that first thing that you see at 45 degrees. So if this is a door like this, opening all the way, 45 degrees is here. And that first view that we see at 45 degrees actually sets the energy for the whole home. And as a result, sets the energy for our lives. And so, my favorite example of this of all time in all the years that I've done Feng Shui was a home where there was all sorts of, arguing and bickering. And extended family members didn't get along. It was a real problem, and the main reason why they were having me come in. And when we opened the door 45 degrees, there was a bullfighter that was right there. That was the first image. And so, those kinds of situations, I'm always so excited because it's such a simple thing to change. Why not put something really peaceful up, something harmonious as that first image? And right away, things start to shift. Clutter in the entranceway is huge. And most of us, have an issue with that because we set things down, right, when we come in. But unfortunately, if we have a lot of clutter, it congests the entrance, and if you think of that's where the energy comes in, then not a lot of energy can come in. It gets blocked and congested. Stairs. This is one problem I have in my home. When I open the door, there are 3 stairs after the landing. And so energy flows downstairs far more easily and out the door than it climbs up the stairs. And so oftentimes when there are stairs, it means we have to put a lot more effort into our lives in order to make things happen. And by the way, in Feng Shui, everything has a cure. Well, almost everything. You can't have a cure if you're facing a direction that, when we get into more advanced Feng Shui, there are different lucky stars in your home that rule things like money and relationship and health. That's based on the compass direction of your home. And so we don't have a cure that makes your home face a different way than it does, unfortunately. Just one last thing to think about, because it's an easy thing to take home and reflect on in your own space. Energy moves in 3 different ways. And think about it almost like acupuncture for the home, where oftentimes energy will be too fast, too much energy. And in our homes, especially in North America, we see this a lot. Those straight sidewalks, the energy's like zip right down the sidewalk, or front entrance, back entrance in a line. And so what that's all about is, I just want to do it, get it done, get there, get it over with. Or, I'm really excited about getting that new car, but once I've got it, I'm on to the next thing. I never stop and enjoy what it is that I, have in life. And so that's that energy moving too fast. Never have time to really experience what's going on. To take a breath. And then there's stagnant energy. And so that's where energy is stuck, where there's something in one's life that just will not shift, will not move. And that, strangely enough, happens in two different ways in the home, and they're almost like polarities. One is where there's too much clutter. So imagine if you go into your office and the desk is stacked with things. And so there's that feeling when you go in there of not knowing where to begin. That kind of stuck energy. Well, whatever that office in your home, wherever it's located, so it might be located in your money area of your home, which would mean that money gets stuck. Or it might be located in your relationship area, which would mean even though you want a relationship, it's a stuck place because there's all this stagnant energy. The other polarity of stagnant energy is nothing. So it's an area where there's nothing happening. And sometimes I'll see this in really big homes where there are rooms that no one lives in. And they might be guest rooms or something like that, but they really have a feeling in those rooms that there's no energy happening there. And so that is also stuck energy. So those are the two that we don't want, the too fast, the stuck. And what we do want, if you can think of it as a meandering river. And so there's movement, but there's also space. So there's time of rest, and then it moves and rest. If you think of the curve as the movement and the tip as the rest, and then the movement and the rest. And even when, all of us have had that experience where we look at a home, and there's the straight sidewalk, and then we look at the next house that has the curved sidewalk. And don't you just feel different in your body when you look at that home with the curved sidewalk? Like it's sort of like a feeling of relaxation and beauty that happens there. And so the curving is where we are active in our lives, but when we get the new car, we have time to enjoy it. We have time to take that in and really appreciate it. Or when we've written the book, or when we've painted the picture, we have time to enjoy it, as opposed to just, okay, what's next, what's next, what's next? Well, that gives you some ideas, some possibilities. I'm thinking that, I think we'll just take a bit of a break now and open up for some questions.